As you all know by now, the stage is set for what may be an unprecedented meeting between President Trump and North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un. The president tweeting Friday, quote, "The deal with North Korea is very much in the making and will be, if completed, a very good one for the world. Time and place, TBD." So how would this compare to other historic meetings between world leaders? Here to weigh in, presidential historian Doug Wead. So great to have you. Good morning, Doug.
Thanks, Ed.
Big picture, first of all, I hear a lot of Democrats saying this is a big mistake because this is what the dictator wants. He wants to be on the same stage with an American president and be an equal. They've been craving this, and it's a mistake. What say you?
Oh, who cares? We've been kicking this can down the road where there's a possibility of nuclear war. Donald Trump has to do something, and he'll come out of it stronger, because even if he walks away without winning anything, he will have made that step. And all his critics, remember, Ed, just a few weeks ago were saying it's outrageous. He's calling him names.
Yeah.
He's calling him Rocket Man. Now they're upset because he's going to meet.
Yeah, they
with
said this
him.
is going to be World War III. Now, all of a sudden, we may have peace talks, and they're still not satisfied, I think is what you're saying.
Right.
Let's not let the administration off the hook, though. One quick point before we go and look at history, which is that Sarah Sanders at the White House podium, though, seemed to be walking some of this back and saying, well, we're not going to meet unless certain conditions are being met. Is this White House, though, trying to rewrite the terms of this meeting?
Well, yes, their negotiations begin before you get there. In fact, the negotiations should be done before you get there. That's the lesson from Yalta, where FDR gave away all of Eastern Europe and doomed millions of people to disaster. So
let's go through each one. We often hear, okay, it's going to take Donald Trump to deal with North Korea, just like it was Nixon going to China. That was 1972. He meets with Mao in Beijing. What was significant in terms of the stagecraft?
Yeah, Ed, that's a good point. Some Democrats wanted rapprochement with China. No Republicans did. So it took a Republican president to be able to politically pull this off. And the lesson learned is sometimes the least expected leader can have the biggest historical punch in these summits.
In fact, that might lead us perfectly to Jimmy Carter, who even a lot of Democrats say, not such a great presidency. But when you look at 1979 and the Camp David peace accords, what a shining moment.
Yeah, you got to give Carter credit for this. And the interesting thing is the strategic deal was done. It was personal at this point at Camp David, and Carter wouldn't let go. He kept going from one cabin to the next cabin and knocked heads. He got it done, and it shows that personality does still play a role in diplomacy. It's not just the State Department people in issuing facts and numbers and metrics.
Yeah, good point. And I wonder how that applies as well to 1986, Reagan, Gorbachev, Reykjavik, Iceland.
Ed, this is one of the greatest lessons of all, because after it was over, the media said it was an absolute disaster, and they faulted Reagan for being stubborn, for losing the best chance of peace, when in fact he proved and showed that it's better sometimes to walk away than it is to lose at a summit. He walked away. Reykjavik looked like a failure. Gorbachev went back to the Soviet Union and said, we're done. We can't keep up with this. And the Cold War was won. So don't be afraid to walk away from a bad deal.
And history proved him and you right. Great lesson for all of us this morning. Doug Wead, we appreciate your insight and expertise.
Thanks, Ed.
Have a good weekend. Louis Farrakhan.